give me 3 names, and we would put friends' names, and they would answer the phone and say, "Oh yeah, she's working for us," and we would get accepted. You know, it was very easy to get accepted in the apartment, so it was like trying to get another one, but it was very hard, especially for a child that I was at that time. Now I was the oldest of 2, which didn't help me because I was the dad now. Also, I was the one that was supposed to cook. I was the one that was supposed to feed. I was supposed to help him with homework. I'm supposed to help him with everything, right? Now, all that stuff was great. But then I went to visit my dad because they were divorced. And I went to visit him one time just to see what his lifestyle was like. And I noticed my dad's lifestyle was very different. He lived well. He bought what he wanted. He was a businessman. He had a catering truck. It was not a great business. It was a phenomenal business in my mind when I saw it. A lot of people don't know what a catering truck is, like a restaurant on wheels. A lot of people have seen it now on cable TV, with a lot of people have, but back then it was not as pretty with colors and everything else. It was just white. And they would come into a factory, for example, with 100 plus people working there. And during their lunch, everybody would come out at the exact same time, all these 100 people. In less than 15 minutes, they would feed and charge, give change, and do everything, give them credit in 15 minutes. And it'll be one person only. No registers, no calculators, no nothing. It was an amazing task that I saw. So at that moment, when I used to see that, I used to go back because I couldn't believe it. It's like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. See, and I wasn't allowed to come see my dad a lot, so I had to sneak with my uncle. That was my mom's brother-in-law. So he worked in the same place where they had the catering truck, so I was able to get a ride with him in the morning, you know, and then come back and be with my dad all day and come back, right? So what I learned from my dad was that if you want to sell, you will never be hungry. If you sell something, you will never be hungry. Now, a lot of people don't want to sell. People go like, oh my God, but I'm not in sales. I don't like sales. I don't want to be a salesperson. You know, because the very first thing you think about is the salespeople are very, very awful people on the phone trying to sell you things, and you don't want to be sold, right? But you also have to understand that everything we do in life is sales. When you're trying to get somebody to recruit into the business, you're trying to sell the opportunity. When you're trying to get them to sign with you, you're trying to sell yourself as the leader. When you're trying to, you know, get into a great school for your kids, you're trying to sell your kid is phenomenal, better than everybody else, and he can fit into that school. Mm-hmm. Everything we do, it sells, but we just don't know it. As a matter of fact, sometimes you sell stuff that you don't even realize you're selling. For example, how many of you recommended a great movie? And they went to go see it because you were that good at selling it. Now, you talked about that movie, and you told them what it was and why it was, and oh my God, I made me cry and all this. The next thing you know, they went to go see it.
True.
And they spend their money because you didn't get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? So what we do is referral marketing. Now, during this time, I was watching my dad do a lot of sales. And because of those sales, I started putting stuff in my mind and says, you know what, if I could sell something, I could probably make some money to help my mom. And the very first thing, you know, I asked my dad, what should I sell? What can I have? And he had, obviously in his catering truck, he had a lot of candies on some of the shelves. And when he went, he says, okay. He handed me a few boxes of these candies, boxes like M&Ms, Snickers, and you know, there's some Skittles and a few other ones that he had. And I put those in my backpack, took my books out because they were just heavy. You know, they were just not, they're killing space. You know, it's all about, you know, it's all about real estate, you know, how much real estate you have in your backpack, you know, for products that you want to sell. So I started selling candy at school. At a time in the United States when candies, sodas, everything was illegal to have in the school ground. They wanted it all out. So they took all these machines out, they have everything. So that was the perfect business because nobody else could compete against me. Right? I started selling candy. From that day on, everybody knew me as the candy man at school. But I was making more money than the drug dealers. That was phenomenal. And that kind of put us in a position where we could pay the rent. could do a little bit more. It wasn't great, but it was better. You guys understand when it's better, you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
You can rest a little bit better at night also.
Absolutely.
But during that time, I kept having cravings for growth in business. And during this time, my mom was invited to a network marketing company meeting, home party. How many of you have been in a home party before? And I know you guys are all excited when you go to a home party, right? Sometimes you're forced to go.
Yeah.
Right? But there's some people, some people call it a party because they really have a party. And they try to sell you on the stuff they sell, How many of you gone to jewelry, home parties?
Yeah.
Some, dishware, home parties, stuff like that. And they make it a beautiful thing. Everybody's excited, everybody's trying stuff. And at the end, you leave buying stuff you didn't know you needed. Right? And that's what I end up seeing because I was at this home, okay? And I was standing in the back of the room watching this whole thing from the back, and I was just amazed. And the reason I was amazed was because every person in that house I knew. They were my mom's friends. And every single one there couldn't pay their rent. And every single one there was buying items like it was going out of style.
Wow.
And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I found something that is great. And then what really piqued my interest was, I was a comic book fan. I don't know if any of you are, but comic books are collectible items sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the 90s. That was when they were really hot. And to me, that I understood. I understood that people, this is valued this, and people collect it, and blah, 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 and they look at it. And that's what it kind of seemed like to me when they were picking up all these crystals, because it's a crystal company. And they were picking up this crystal stuff, and they were going, oh my God, this is the model of last year. I don't have this one no more. This is the one I'm missing from my collection. And those were key words for me, because like, oh my God, these people, everybody here is collecting this stuff. Everybody here wants it. Everybody here wants to buy it. And I go, I have all these people. If I can get it, they're my customers.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm done. And the lady in the front of the room was not a happy person, too. So it's like, if I could take her business, it's great. Nobody wants to see her anyway, right? But I went to her in the front of the room and I said, I would love to sell this product. And I actually told her, if you tell me where you buy it, if you tell me where you buy it, I'll go buy it. I won't compete with you. I have other people that I want to sell it to, that I know that would buy it. Obviously, I was trying to sell it to the same people in the room. But she says, no, here's my brochure. Here's my number. If you find somebody who wants something, call me. I'll bring it to you.
Really?
I was like, fantastic. And I was very upset about that because I was wanting to know where the wholesaler was. Where was that person that she's buying it from and everything? And I was even planning on following her, like for a week, to find out where this distribution center was at. But a few weeks down the line, I was walking through a flea market, which when you don't have that much money, you don't go to the mall. Everything's expensive there. You go to the flea market just to spend some time, buy some chips, walk around, be in the sun. And I was walking in this flea market, and there was a lady with a table. And at the table, there was these products. There was all these crystal products laid out on a beautiful black sheet that she had, and everybody was coming up, and they were looking at the catalogs and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's the company, that's the logo. And I went up to her and I said, where can I buy this? I promise you, I will not come to this place to sell to any of your customers. But I want to buy this because I have customers that will buy it. And she goes, well, let me explain to you. We have to sponsor you into the business. And the word sponsor kind of said sponsor. Didn't really calculate in my head. Like, go, no, just tell me where I buy it and I'll go get it. And if I can know where the wholesaler is, I'll just go and buy wholesale, come back. That's the way my dad did it. That's the way I thought everything was run and business. So she goes, no, let me explain to you. And she finally brings out this 3-ring binder with all these photocopies, like Xerox copies of all this information. Like, she didn't have one original document, but everything was like Xeroxed into this thing with a 3-ring miter. And she was going through it one by one. She was telling me how everything worked, what you do, to the point that I believed her and I signed up with her. How many of you signed up for the first time in a company and you're like, oh my goodness, what did I do? Right? Well, I signed up, and I think about a week and a half later, I get this luggage sent to my house. And this luggage, I open it up, and there's like pots, pans, crystals, there's glasses, there's dishes, all that stuff. And I'm like one of each of everything that's in there. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? And they have a manual inside. I pulled the manual and start reading the manual. It says home party, step 1. This is what you got to do. This is how you got to set up. This is what you got to say. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do a home party. Nobody will believe a 16-year-old to do a home party. By the way, I was 16. So who's going to believe or have a home party with a 16-year-old trying to sell you this stuff? It's not going to work. So obviously I started to create Plan B. How many of you created a Plan B before? Says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it happen. All right? So what ended up happening was that I went back to school. I was in high school. How many of you have friends, great friends in high school? You guys have a lot of them? A few of them maybe? And guess what I did? I had a lot of great friends. A lot of them who were girls, which helped a lot. A lot of them who played sports and had jackets and jerseys and school clothing that we use. So we kind of used that, and we went door to door. It felt like we were selling chocolates for the school. How many of you sold chocolate before for a school, for a project or something like that, right? And we went door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood. We sold everything. Even there was little gifts that we were supposed to give up for people who came. We sold that too. We had a price for everything. But we sold so much of this product, within 3 months, I became the regional leader in sales for the West Coast of the United States.
Wow.
And the only thing I did was hire people, pay them $4.25 an hour, which that was the pay rate back in those days. And everybody went to work, and everybody was happy making the $4.25 an hour, extra after school. And I was making all this money in sales. And all we were doing, like I said, knocking on doors, saying, hey, does this interest you? Do you know this brand? And he goes, we are selling this, and if we can help us, it'll help us in school, it'll help us whatever, and people will buy it. It's just a beautiful thing. It was like, we were like ringleaders here, like the mob coming through. Then after that, I got invited to a convention, my first convention. And at my first convention, it was a very weird feeling, because it wasn't really my first real convention. It was a convention because I was invited, because they wanted to give me this award for these sales that I've made, which I didn't understand. How could I be the number one? Which didn't make sense if what I did was so simple. Right? He says, if I could do this, and then you're looking at it like, I'm 16, you guys are older, why are you guys doing that? So it just became something like that. It just didn't, I couldn't fathom, I couldn't think about it, I couldn't realize, wow, how was I number one in the West Coast? So I finally got to the stage. They gave me this nice award. They brought me up, and they asked me to tell people how I did it. And I started explaining to them step by step on how I did it. Everybody was so quiet. You couldn't hear them breathe. And everybody was looking at me with eyes like they hated me. And the majority were women, by the way, because this is a women's company. I don't know how I got into it, but yes, it's a women's company. And what ended up happening was that as they're looking at me, it felt so cold. It felt like you didn't belong. Have you ever been into a place where you feel like you don't belong? Right? I've been to those places and I felt that, and I was like, oh my God. I finished my story. I left my trophy on the stage, and I walked right out of the room, straight out, went down the hall as further as I could until I found a little kiosk that sold coffee. Now, back then, they weren't like Starbucks kiosks. They were just a little, coffee that was made, and they were just pouring it out of this glass, kiosk stuff. Don't worry. If I fall, just laugh. It's all good. And then, as I'm standing there, sitting there in this, I got one of the little tables, and I'm sitting there, a gentleman comes by and sits down next to me and says, I see what you're doing. I saw what you did. I heard exactly. You did everything correct. The only thing you're missing was learning of how, and what you're missing is residual income. You're not working on the residual income side. You're not working on how to build your fortune into your future. And this person was named Sean, became my first mentor at that moment. Started teaching me. He was the first one to start teaching me the comp plan. Started teaching me what I needed to do, what I was doing wrong, why they thought it was funny, but why everything I was doing was so correct, but yet I was missing this piece. It was called residual. Now, for a lot of you, if you don't know what a residual income is, it's basically the work that you do one time, and you keep getting paid for it the rest of your life. Like, for example, how many of you know Elvis Presley? The Beatles. Everybody knows these guys, right? Are they all still alive? Are they still rocking? No. Some of them, the Beatles are. Maybe. Still. Yeah, I know. He looks like he's dead, but I just saw him in concert last year, and I was like, oh my God, he's still walking. But, great man. Now, imagine this. These guys, let's just say even Michael Jackson, who's dead, Elvis Presley, who's dead, they still make a fortune of the work they produced years ago. See, that's the same thing we got to understand, is that if you can figure out how to make a fortune of the work you did once, then you have a business. See what I'm talking about? So this started clicking in my head, and I said, you know what? I understand that. Now he started explaining. He's the first one. He pulled out these napkins that were at the kiosk, and he pulled his pen out. He started doing these circles and lines that you've seen before, that I've never seen in my life at that time. But he started telling me about the comp plan and how you built it and everything. He's so excited about it. And he was running through it, and I'm getting excited. You know, have you guys ever heard a comp plan? And all of a sudden your heart starts pounding? Yeah. Because the excitement. That was me. And I was so in love with what he was doing, and then I finished. He finished, and he says, you know, Sean, he goes, what position are you in this company? He goes, oh, I'm not in the company. My wife is. She's one of the major leaders. I'm in another company, you know, and you know, we just launched, we're just starting. I go, what company is that? He goes, it's a telecommunication company. We sell long distance. At that time, there was a local service and a long distance carrier. So you'd have to pay for the long distance carrier separately and everything else. So that was a long distance carrier as a network marketing company. And I kind of liked the idea. So that moment I signed up with him. Have you guys ever jumped from one company to another one the next day? I did that day. No question asked. The way I felt, the trophy stayed on stage, and I was already signed up in another company. So I was excited. I came home, put everybody together, and I said, I'm not paying you guys $4.25 an hour no more. And I got everybody together, and I says, from now on, every time you close somebody, because there was no money to close them, but there was a $40 fast start bonus. You guys remember what the fast start bonus in this company is, right? It's 50% of whatever people buy. Right? That was a $40 fast start bonus, but you had to sell nothing. All you had to do is get their signature to sign over to change from one service to our service. I thought that was the funniest game in town. So I told everybody, every signature you get $40. So we got more people than the friends that I had, because everybody knew that we were all making money. Everybody started joining us. Wow. So when I were a pack of cars going from neighborhood to neighborhood, we would literally come and clean out that neighborhood, would change everybody over to this service, to the next service, to this service. I became the RVP, Regional Vice President of that company, in less than 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And all we did was recruit, actually switch people over, and then recruit people along the way. I was learning about the residual income. I was learning about that. So I knew that if I signed somebody over to this company, they keep paying their bill month to month, and I keep getting paid. So I wasn't afraid of giving these people the fast start bonus, because I knew they can take the fast start bonus. See, I didn't recruit the people that were working for me. They went and did all the work, and they got paid, and they were loving it. And all of a sudden, Armand was making and collecting every month after that for the work they did one time. So it was a phenomenal move. Now, I went to my first real convention when I started learning how to do this business. This is why it's so important to go to a convention. Because you see things that you've never seen in your life. Number one, you see a room of 1,000+ people, like we'll have over 4,000 people in our event in Las Vegas, that are part of the 2% that you're in, all together in one room. It's like if you go to the mall right now, if you go out there, you start talking to people, you'll find a lot of the 98%. But I imagine coming into a room that everybody is like you. Everybody sees like you. Everybody dreams like you. It's a phenomenal feeling. And when I came out of that, I mean, literally, I didn't have big money at that time because I was paying a lot of different things. But, and I was just barely starting in this company when I went there. But when I went to that first convention, it opened my mind up so much. Although I slept in the room with 12 people on the floor, it didn't matter to me. So even though I didn't have much to eat during that weekend, it didn't matter to me. I still made the sacrifice to be there. And guess what happened? A year later, I was able to buy my mom her first home.
Wow.
Now, I don't know about you, but for a person that's been kicked out of everywhere you went and been able to buy your first house and buy it in cash, I think it's a huge accomplishment. How many would you love to buy your home in cash right now? Right? Not a dime ever for it, everything else. To me, that was one of the most phenomenal feelings I've ever had in my life. I never thought that would be possible. Never. I saw people that were, I thought everybody needed a loan to get a home. That was the first time that ever happened. It was not even a cheap house. It was like $500,000 a house. But we got it. Now, I started hitting the ranks, top ranks in that company pretty fast. By the age of 20, I started earning $1 million a year. Will $1 million a year help you guys out?
Absolutely.
For a 20-year-old, I went crazy. Literally, I couldn't believe the kind of money that was coming in. And then I couldn't fathom it finishing. I mean, it's like a spigot that just opened, and it was like one of these hydrants of water outside, and it was just going up in the air. It's like nobody can shut that off. And all of a sudden, the government comes in and says the regulation with all the laws for long distance lines, and united it with the local phone company. So we all lost the long distance business. All of a sudden, you're out of everything that you've built, you've grown. I was like, oh my goodness. Now that $1 million a year is gone. What am I going to do? So from there, a bunch of us went and built a business that was built on ephedra. How many of you remember ephedra from years back? Fen. You guys don't remember that? No? No. I'm surprised. That was, well, maybe it's because it's here in the UK, but in the United States, that stuff, you took one of those capsules, it's like people were losing 100 pounds, like that. It was like a crazy, crazy weight loss capsule. People were having this energy. People were having heart attacks all over. By the way, it was not all good, but yet, and guess what? The positives were bigger than the negatives, right? And people were buying this like it was crack cocaine. It's like we built this business, and we started building this business, which people started trying it, and we started putting in every mall that I could a kiosk. How many of you have seen those kiosks around? Now, every kiosk that we had was doing $20,000 in profit a week.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because people were coming down, buying a case of it. You go like, what do you need a case for? He goes, you're going to sell it? Because I want you, if they were going to sell it, I was going to recruit him. He goes like, no, I'm going to give it to my uncle, my mom. Then a list. It's like, phenomenal, okay. Case price, let's go. And we're selling cases of this product. That was $44, I remember. And it was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen, to the point that by age of 25, I was doing $5.6 million a year. Now remember, I went from $1 million to $0. And now I'm back up to $5.5 million. Now a guy like me, at that age, I started taking people to the, like we would have a meeting like this, and we all would go next door to the pizzeria, and all have pizza and pastas and food. I would buy everybody the restaurant and everything else, because I really didn't think this thing was going to be over. There's no way this was going to shut off either. It was so exciting to see the kind of money that's coming. I would be flown private jets, land, limousine waiting, limousine taking me with 20, 30 people that were waiting for me to the event, showed up at the event like a rock star. Come down, do the meeting, jump back in the limo, go back, get the plane, leave, go back. So it was a phenomenal lifestyle. And all of a sudden, the government says, you know that a federal thing? Let's make it illegal. So it became illegal automatically. So that was gone. Again, we went to zeros. And then I went into a slump where I kept going into company to company to company to company. How many of you have been in multiple companies just because you're looking for a home? Right? There weren't bad companies that I went through. And not all of them, I was making very good money in all of them. For example, I did, at the very least, 6 figures in every single company, at the very least.
Wow.
So I was not doing bad money, but it was not the company that I thought was going to take me back to 7 figures, back to the $1 million. And for me, it was very important to get back to $1 million, because everybody said, you can hit $1 million in network marketing once, maybe you'll be able to hit it twice, but 3 times it's impossible. Everybody was talking about that, and I was like, okay, I hit it twice. That means I'm dead. No. And I was like, okay, I got to find that company. So I was going from company to company to company to company to company, making good money, but leaving, always trying to find that one phenomenal company. And I got to the point where I was doing somewhat well, and I just had barely purchased a home. My son was barely born during this time, so he was maybe less than a year old. And I had this beautiful brand new house that we just constructed. And then I had nothing else to do. I was in between companies. So, when you have nothing to do, you try to find things. So I was putting granite, cutting granite.